gone for like a
Jaden,
month.
are you gonna watch this video?
Unless he's watching them like every day, I don't think he'd come back and watch them like all in a row.
He does have no social life when he gets back.
Hey, we all have a social life. Some of us just choose to spend it inside without anyone else.
Alright, I'll be right back with our resource pages. We are all going to need graphing calculators. So, here we go.
For this glorious gift of $400.
Am I supposed to attach the flashlight to the homework?
Yes, it is the last one. I will be
Oh,
right
this is a short
back.
lesson. There's only 3 questions.
Well, but one's a lab.
Everyone gets 12 calculators. I gotta, get one. Huh? Levi, get in right here and I'm gonna keep the table.
Sure? Sure, Chris?
Yeah.
Here, Chris, we can tag team this.
Okay.
Okay, then. Don't hurt yourself.
So-
Put that somewhere.
Remember the top part? Yeah.
It's incorrect.
There's that one.
Wait,
That one.
wait.
Jacket.
Nope, we should be going like this.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna just scoot back. Yeah.
Now, Satya, our Chapter 7, hopefully no one hurt themselves. Our Chapter 7 test, we made just for you, since you said you appreciated... Where'd Satya go?
He's gone.
Jerk. Whatever. He doesn't get his Chapter 7 test back then.
Can you get me a book, please?
I can.
Okay.
Now, if you're asking, would I?
Sure.
Would you?
I will.
Oh, Chris did.
Being a good friend.
He doesn't need 3.
So,
Oh, okay.
here's what scares me. And we'll go ahead and say, especially with Satya.
What?
I'm only picking on him because he came here and then he totally left. This lab that we're about to embark on, accuracy matters. So, what we're wondering is, can we investigate the relationship between the size of a circle, like radius, or circumference, or area, or whatever you want to say, and its mass? Now, we're all smart people. We know.
Why do you say that?
We know that there should be a relationship, right? I mean, bigger something is, the more mass it's going to have. Hey, Chris, you're probably immediately impacting mass because you're adding graphite. So, what we're going to do today is, starting with the large circle, we're going to cut this out. We then want to gather some data, and we could honestly label these circles if we want, like A, B, C, D, E, as we go in. And we want to track this data about our circles. So however you guys as a class decide to do this, whether you create one master table up on the smartboard or whatever else, you must work together because you have one scale. Now you each have your own paper because accuracy matters. And if you just real quick cut out the circle and you cut into it and it's not perfect, it's going to matter. So you each have your own sheet to be able to make these cuts. I have these scissors, and I'm going to go grab some more better scissors because I have some junky scissors. I want more. These are better scissors. I want more better scissors. So I will be right back with more better scissors. But right now, you guys talk as a team and decide, how do you want to approach this? How do you want to collect your data? Who do you want doing what? How are we going to do this? This is our investigation for today.
Okay, so we're gonna need people measure. Who has the best handwriting?
Definitely me, Steven, but he's not here. Okay.
Everybody just go up to the board and write an A. Really
More
quick.
better scissors.
Yeah, I'm writing letters.
Just write an A.
More
No,
better
write the word
scissors.
fish.
That has paper in it.
Write the word fish.
We're also gonna have to figure out the radius.
We could use one
Okay,
paper.
here. I'm gonna.
Jacob, we
I'm
could
gonna
use
go
one
to
paper
mine.
we don't cut out, and we could use that.
And
And I'm gonna mark them all, and I'm gonna find the radius of all the different circles.
Okay,
Here, I can help you do that.
I would say, yeah, have 2 people on each task so you can get some verification.
Me and Chris got radius duty.
Ah, you said duty.
The bunny. I like the part where you said duty.
Now, while you're laughing like it's not funny, we all know it secretly is.
It is a poop joke.
Satya.
You're never too old for poop
Fine.
jokes.
Quinn Wilson, please come to the office. Quinn Wilson, please come to the office. Thank you.
All poop jokes are really crappy anyways.
Oh.
Poop puns are funny. Poop jokes are not. Ow.
Okay. Satya, because there's not much space here because of the books and paper.
Okay, let's get radius duty.
Get ready. We should do it in centimeters, probably.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Hudson, I want to tell you this. I saw a Nintendo Switch sign. It was photoshopped, so it just said switch to metric. I thought it was funny.
Nice. Oh, you also missed, if you didn't watch the video yesterday, us checking in with Neil deGrasse Tyson about what would happen if the Earth stopped spinning for a second. Well,
Yeah.
we would all launch 800 miles
Yeah, you.
in the direction of the spin.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr.
Well,
Hudson,
not
I saw
well.
the
If it started
comment.
spinning
I saw the
again,
dog
and it like
comment too.
caught us on our landing.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked up the comic for that. It was like, dog, stay here. And it was like, okay, I'll stay here. And
Did you find it on Are They Did the Math?
No, I
Because-
found it on r/memes.
Okay.
I
Well,
just found it while I was browsing comment awards.
They Did the Math is better because they do the math.
Hey, Mr. Hudson, have you ever read the What If book?
I have not.
Okay, I need to bring it to you for you tomorrow.
Yes.
It's amazing.
If you get it to me before spring break, I might actually have some time to read.
5.3C. Oh, hold on. Is that?
Oh, that's the diameter.
No, that
Yeah, that would be the
that was-
diameter. That's the diameter. So we need to do radius.
That looks like a solid 0.3. Wait, so do we need to find diameter or radius?
Well,
No.
guess what? If you find one, you find the other.
I mean, yeah, but like. Okay, so
It'd be
this
much easier to find the radius.
is 2, 5.
The diameter, you have to make sure that they're exactly
Are you seeing this?
Oh,
And then this one is 2.2.
Cutting skills.
No, I'm really
that seems
bad,
like
but I'm
3.4.
And if you
No,
touch
just
the
do 3.4.
circle at all,
That's way.
you're in
Hold on, move your hand.
This is just gonna be like a spiral. We're just gonna keep cutting forever. How do you feel, Lauren?
You know, paper is gauging the weight of our fingerprints.
Is that an even 5? Or maybe 5 point?
Nah, that's an even 5. It's alright. 5.5.
Yeah. 1. 7.1.
We need to make sure people are cutting the different circles,
Really?
or else it'll take too much time to have each person cut each individual circle.
Okay, so we got the radius of each
So
of the
I'm
circles.
almost done with the big circle, the biggest circle.
No.
I have like 2 inches left.
If you're already that close to being done, go the next one because most people aren't even that close. So
how are we supposed
to cut to the inside?
You cut off the outer. Once you collect your data about the outer circle, you no longer need it. It's on. It's been teared. It's been zeroed. It should be good.
1.5. It is 1.5.
Guys,
Here, I'll put mine on too.
No, wait! Stop it!
guys, I'm starting to cut the next one. Okay?
Okay, so you got 1 point.
Because I wanted to look nice.
Guys, we should do a circumference to radius.
Both.
Mr. Hudson.
Your turn.
This one's a solid 1.5.
Let's go with 1.5.
Well, it switches
So
up
you
to
like
1.5.
right first circle
Here,
and
put
just do
Levi's
second, third,
on
fourth.
too.
Well, no,
Yeah.
ours didn't stay.
Put mine on. Thomas,
Then put it back on.
put mine on.
Perfect. Okay.
Look, it's stabilized at 1.5.
What you guys should do is put all of those on it together and then divide it by how many, like
No.
finding an average.
They're all
Radius.
Not good.
Yeah, it's 1.5.
That's
For the first one, it's 1.5.
And are we doing relation to for the radius to mass, or are we doing relation to the area and circumference?
No. Radius.
Where's
by
size?
average
Okay.
Mr. Hudson, where's the size of the thing?
It's too thick.
It is in fact too thick.
But I think Thomas, do you still have mine?
I'll start cutting the next one.
Oh, that's
Wait, how do you slide?
Yeah, mine got one.
I'm gonna start cutting.
It's
Green doesn't work.
How many times?
The green sensor doesn't work, not the
Then
color.
why is it still up here?
I can't. What do you want me to do with it? The sensor just doesn't work. Then if I remove it, people get upset because my OCD people are like, why is there a pen missing? Where's green at?
Okay,
So I just leave it.
We're not
Like,
that
do you have actual OCD, Sambo?
Well, I don't know if they're diagnosed, but they sure
So how
seem
should
like
we-
it
how
when they
should we
react
list
like
this?
that.
Like, should we list it A, B, C, like going
So
out or going
start with the big one being A, and then work your way in.
A.
Let me write it. I couldn't.
A mass is 1.5.
Satya, that's.
I was telling a joke.
I'll do.
It really wasn't funny, but.
Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4.
I love jokes that aren't funny.
I'll work on C.
90% of everything is crap.
You guys can do B or C.
The green sensor started working for a second.
Yeah, it doesn't work accurately. You need to put the green pen back on there because otherwise it gets constantly confused. Oh, experimentation leads to finding the issues.
Don't get me started.
Wait!
Now from radius, we could also calculate area, right? So like, we could do that now, or we don't have to
Why
necessarily.
is it so big all of a sudden?
Richner,
Ah,
up here,
yes.
that.
Chris, you fool it.
You've seen him do this every
No, I didn't know where the focus was.
Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so do you want to go from big to small or small to big?
It's big
I
to
don't
small.
like this.
Okay, so big one's radius 7.8. 7 point, then 7.1. 6.1. 5.5. 4.65. 3.45.
We're getting really accurate.
2.7.
Well, you told us that.
2.2. Oh, sorry, 2.25
No, wait, what'd you measure in?
centimeters.
Okay. Right centimeters.
Just right.
At least once, right?
Yeah, up there.
Centimeters. There we go.
Right
Okay.
inches down
And then
the road.
1.5 is the big one, right? Per grams? For the mass.
Yes.
Then I think I'm gonna put the ratio.
Hate trail mix because sometimes you get an imbalance of.
Dude, you gotta use like the second or third, otherwise it's way too thick. You just had issues with your fourth. Second or third.
Satya, you know why I
Dude,
hate
that's your fourth.
I can't eat
Chris,
it.
you fool.
I'll die.
What are you allergic to?
Peanuts.
Oh.
And A?
Okay.
And A?
Point nine.
It's common
Yeah.
for people to have multiple allergies.
Wait,
You're allergic to
Yeah,
eggs?
but you like-
Yep.
Oh wait, Steve?
C. Well,
Okay,
like
right here.
pretty much by
Can I
themselves.
do? This is B. So you did the
It
next
just
one down,
depends on
right?
the food. Like now I have a
1.2.
1.2 and then 0.9.
Somebody do
What?
some-
I didn't do.
That's 1.2 and then
Because I'm allergic to it.
Oh, I thought.
I'm not
after,
definitely.
no, after
I'm
you
not
eat it, or like.
0.9 after. I'm not deathly allergic,
Okay.
but I can't like eat it by itself. I did.
No, what was that one thing you wanted me to look up?
Somebody do
It's
this.
0.7.
Do 7?
Mr. What was that one
I'll
thing you
work
wanted me
on
to look
E.
up? It was like a speed.
Somebody do these ratios.
I'll do E.
I'll start doing H, I guess.
I can do.
Okay, that's
I'll do D.
That was C. I'll do
B has already been done, Satya.
I'm
Fine, I'll do
doing-
C.
C's been done.
I'm doing E.
1.2.
Oh, ratio?
Okay, you did.
Oh,
I'm
no.
doing E.
No, we
Do all the
don't do
ratios. Satya, you do all the
I'm
ratios.
doing E.
Okay.
said I would.
Oh wait, you got then. Levi, you do A to D.
I'm
Satya, you
doing
do
G.
Wait, I'm doing E. I do 7.8.
Okay, guess I'm just doing A after
Yeah.
H. I'm just doing F and H.
H is
Wait, what?
5.2.
I'm doing that one.
You're doing E. You're doing.
No, they're cutting those.
Oh,
You're doing the ratios alone because we trust you.
Yes. All I have to do is just say
Okay,
radius
so
divided by math, right? Math.
Pretty much.
who's doing which one of these?
I'm doing this.
5.9. It must be one per square.
Is someone doing B, C, D, E?
They're working
I'm
in
doing E.
and
I
I'm
put what?
working out.
So you want them to
I'm doing
D.
E.
Who's doing E?
Me.
F?
No one do it.
I'll do F then.
Levi, what are you doing?
.77.
Levi, didn't we just tell Satya that he was the
the office. Thank you.
I'll do age. 7.0.
Now, I'm not at all saying that anything you've done is wrong,
I'm already doing it.
but I'm curious how you decided to, like, why are we looking at those ratios? I'm just
Because I
asking the
figured they
question.
may be important.
Okay.
So 13.5 for G. For D.
G.
G.
I'll do the last circle.
So D
Thomas,
I'm already
is
doing that one.
7.85. Well, okay then.
Wait, Thomas, is it 0.54 or just 0.5?
0.5.
Okay.
It only measures to a 100th gram.
I think the ratios are going to increase exponentially.
That's probably cool.
Okay.
Chris, D is 7.85.
And F is 9.3.
Why are we doing radius to mass?
Who knows? Shouldn't we do like area to mass?
Or like mass to area?
What?
Because we're looking at radius and mass.
So if somebody else thinks that finding areas is important, you could go ahead and start calculating areas for each of these circles.
And then we'll put the area in.
This is
What's
F.
the mass for F?
3.3 is the mass for F. 0.3. So,
Okay.
what's the final one?
A.
It is the next one.
For area. Area. A is 191.1.
Wait, Chris.
And then can we also put down the area in terms of pi? That's kind of easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris.
Now hold on, hold on, don't touch it. Don't touch it. I'm gonna make. Don't touch it. Gonna make your life easier.
Yeah,
No touches.
by sliding it over a bit.
Thank you.
Perfection.
Chris.
That made my life a bajillion times harder.
For F.
Y'all
Yeah,
have
right?
This is decent.
Chris for
That's
F.
decent
is
anyway. Better than I usually
Area.
write.
Chris.
Area for A.
Can you put the grid back in?
Yeah, hold on. It's gonna take me a second because I should have quit writing. Only one of us can be controlling at once.
No. What number was it?
Chris.
F is 11.833.
The H is 22.5.
Does that line up with where you had it or there?
Yeah,
Probably.
F is 11.833 repeating. I feel like I'm gonna get. Alright, that's good there. Yay.
Yeah, because you're tall.
Now. 11.
So guys, I'm also starting to do more and more of this because be ready for a high school class to be like, walk in, okay, here's your objective, make a team go. Like now, it all depends on who your teacher is, but a lot of like secondary education courses are more like you're the owner. You have ownership of what's happening. Because that was you weren't here, but that was a person's name
Okay, well, B is
and a problem that we solved. Which apparently you didn't watch the video to see Bhatia, because we were talking about how it sounds like you're named Bhatia.
Oh, that's what Walt called
And
it.
then
Yeah, that-
15.41.
No, because I called you that. He was like, well, that's funny.
No, he called me that last year because of our text grade, everything's better with the B.
Oh, there it is. And that's what he's such a...
So,
Okay.
Satya, what I started
We have
saying,
the
you had
F.
left the room.
Okay.
Give me the F
Or-
ratio.
H.
We did chapter 7 test exactly how you
F
requested.
ratio, it's
You get to determine what your grade
11.83.
is. If you're
What? I got
progressing,
these right?
if you're progressing, fix it.
0.06.
Chris.
Get back to me.
The ratio for F
That would
is
be quarter
11.83.
four.
Right.
That would be quarter 4.
Ratio.
I taxed
Ratio
your
for F.
all
Well,
on
take
your
my
face.
calculator.
17 plus
Yes.
17 does not equal 32.
And then
So I gave you on that problem
is
because
22.5.
I'm not checking to see if you know how to add these days.
The area?
Do you mean H is 22? Okay.
You guys lied to me.
No, wait, why? Can I ask a question? Why do you have that pi next to area if you're writing the values in decimal form, not pi
Writing them
form?
in pi.
This is like.
That's pi form?
Yes.
Then where's your pi? At least put pi after one of them.
Instead of
At
writing
least
them
after one of them. And that top should be squiggly, just so you know. It technically should have a.
Okay, but it's
Okay.
I missed 2 parts of one question. Can I say I got mastery on this?
You are in charge of that. Do you think that what you missed needs for you to go back and relearn something? Or do you think that you showed mastery of all the standards that we covered?
I think that.
Would you get a mastery from Mr. Hall? Is the question.
I got one question wrong. So yeah.
There's only one section, so I mean.
It just changes.
What if you get wrong?
7.29, right?
Okay,
And
so
then
I
your
thought I had this right because I was pretty sure that was a square, but then
I swear.
they told
I
me
got
that
this wrong too.
what
That was the one thing I got wrong.
was it square?
I don't know. I still don't
No,
know.
those had to be
Okay,
45
so you see,
angles.
it can be a kite, it can be a rhombus, or it can be a square.
I think it has to be a square.
No, it doesn't have to be a square.
It has to
If
be
it's
a
a kite,
rectangle.
if it's a kite, this can be longer.
It can't be a rectangle.
It has to
It
be
can't be a.
Oh wait, are these?
Which one?
Oh, we.
This one.
Oh, I thought you meant that one.
This because this one could be either a kite, rhombus, or a square.
Yeah. The
So
least specific is rhombus.
when I turned it in, I just put down
The least
mastery and I
specific
put
is
like
rhombus.
quadrilateral.
So
No,
how do I
it's not.
put the math
Rhombus
on?
has to have all equal sides, and a kite doesn't have all equal sides. All congruent sides. That means I have no. I just put
Okay.
down quadrilateral.
How do we put on mastery on this?
D is
Put an M on it, you
30.2.
stick a back like I do, put an M and circle it. I don't really like
Have
those
you done
things,
E yet,
just so you know.
Chris?
It's, you're gonna write with it,
Okay,
and no,
E.
you can write with it, but you're gonna understand what I mean.
21.6225.
Wait, we're only
It's like
going
a
to
Sharpie pen.
Feels like a hybrid.
Well,
Yeah.
then 6.2.
A hybrid.
I think they were on sale at Kroger because they'd been there for too long. I think they're kind of old, and that's my issue with them.
And then I've got C.
Why does our table have 4 calculators?
Because I need one.
So then get. That's okay. So that's the case. So
C is 37.21.
Mr. Hudson, is there another calculator I can use?
And then we should also probably do
Okay, who
mass
wants-
area.
who wants to graph it?
Then we'll do
I already
mass.
did.
Okay, Hunter graphed it.
Well, which one?
Now, hold on. Before you go too deep with all this, let's make sure that we understand how to input some data into our calculator. So, Chris, I'm not saying you can't keep going, but let's take a pause for a moment. So grab a seat at your desk to talk about how we can input data into a calculator. So some of us have already done this before. Some of us have done this poorly, and some of us are probably comfortable with this. When we go to input data into a calculator, what we're looking to do is change a list. Now you'll notice that the stat button has a secondary function of list above it. So when you hit stat, you're going into the menu that involves lists. But why it says stat? It's your statistics menu. What we're doing is statistics. We're analyzing data. So everyone hit stat.
Wait, so when doctors say like I need this stat,
That means immediately. That is,
Different stat.
I think that
Scout.
is an abbreviation or an acronym.
So this
Hit stat. Hit edit because we want to edit lists. Now the easy way, and I've shown this to people and they're like, oh my gosh, for years I've been doing this the wrong way. The easy way to clear a list, go up to L1 or L2, highlight it, hit clear, but this is what confuses most people. You then have to hit enter, and it clears the whole list. Remember,
Wait.
dumb computer. Go up, highlight L1 or L2. Now, if you hit down or left, or it will still clear, but people get confused because they hit clear, and the numbers still stay there. You with us, Hunter? Okay, I didn't know if because I gave you the sheet, you just already worked ahead, which is what happened. So, I have my lists cleared. Now we want to input our data into these lists, and the data that it tells me we're analyzing today is our radius and our weight. So we want one list to be radius, one list to be weight. You guys can decide which is which, but as a team, you should probably make the same decision.
Let's have
Let's
radius
go.
be one.
Yeah, radius.
Radius
L1.
L1, so I will put your data back up. You are inputting, and honestly, I'll just read it out if you want to type it as we go. You have 7.8, 7.1, 6.1, 5.5, 4.65, 3.55, 2.7, and 2.25. Double check that the bottom number you typed is the 8th number, and when we highlight on it, it should say L1 8. Right? It tells you how many and where that is.
So, because like one of us do for column 2 mass and someone does.
For right now, just do L1, L2 like we want. So your masses, you want to do 1.5. So go over to L2, but the top one, 1.5. 1.2,
Oh, degrees. Oh, wait.
0.9, 0.7, which you don't have to type the zeros, it doesn't matter here, 0.5, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1.
G messed it all up.
0.5, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1. And then.
It'd be a weird curvy boy.
Oh, it looks like
Now, if we want to graph it, we want to hit second Y for stat plot to determine, sorry, I should put this up on the TV, what it's going to plot. So stat plot, and my math teacher never really explained these, or I wasn't paying attention, means we're going to plot the statistical data, right? I always just was like, yeah, hit stat plot, whatever it means. We're plotting the statistical data. So hit stat plot, go into it. Now check, are any of my other plots on? If so, I should probably turn them off. So I only have stat plot 1 on, and I go into it to check what it is. Type of it, sure, you can leave it just like points. List L1, L2, I'd like them to correspond with my X and my Y. I could flip these around if I want, but I like what it is. What sort of marker is it going to put in there for your points? The dots make it difficult. It's hard to see those. The T's or the boxes are normally the best. So then I can hit graph, but the danger with that is I want to check what my window's at. Based off what I have, my window's way wrong, I'm not going to see it correctly. Sorry, my glare is kind of goofed up. Also, if I go into Y equals, I'm still graphing a line, so I should turn that off. I should change my window by hitting window. I love that I'm recording and none of this is recording. Sorry, Nin. I'm going to take this, I'm going to flip screens. So, here.
Wait, how did you get a window like that? What did you grab?
I made the window fit. So whatever I was doing, I told the window to fit, and it fit the window.
Okay,
So based off our data that we have, right, we need our X values to go, well, they're all positive, and they go up to like 8. So up to 10 would work. So if I make my X-min, I always want to see the axis. So I'm going to make my X-min -4, my X-max 12, just so I have an even amount between them. And I'll make my X go 1 because why make it anything else? It will have space to fit those in. Unless I have a bunch of space, I should make my X go 1 normally. My Y values, the masses, all positives, but they only go up to 1.5. So I don't need my window for my masses to go very high. We can say my Y min, I'll also do -4 just because. We'll do -2 because it's a smaller range. Might as well have the Y max go up to like 4. Something so I can at least see things easily. And now if I go graph, I can see everything. Now notice if I want to zoom in on this data, one easy way, hit zoom, go zoom box, not zoom butt. I set a corner of the box, and if you hold your arrows, now I always want to see the axes, but if I just want to try to just see the axes and this data, I can tell it this is what I want, and then it zooms in on there. Now, Satya, that's also how you end up with a really jacked up window. When I Z-box, now my window is wherever I dropped those points. So that's how when I go to window, it looks really weird. I Z-boxed it, and it's fun to say.
How do you Z-box?
You go into zoom, you hit 1 for Z-box, you drop a corner, and then you make the box. Now I just hit clear because I decided I didn't want to Z-box again. Now, does this look linear?
No.
Not really.
It looks exponential, and it is exponential.
So then, I believe we've made it through all these steps on your paper of viewing and turning on and off and everything else. So how can we get the calculator to spit out an equation for us?
Didn't you go to like trace or?
How do we get a calculator to spit out an equation for us?
Oh no, remember we had to do this.
This is not evil.
Yeah.
Change your mindset.
How can we do that?
I have to be super close for this to not be blurry. So, if we go back into stat, you just hit stat.
What you just say?
Holy crud.
What do we want it to do for us?
Go over to calculate.
We want it to calculate something.
Could you go to like?
If I force it to be a linear regression line in the form ax plus b,
It's not.
it will do this. It makes the best line possible. So then if I went and graphed this,
Quad.
I'm going to print screen this really quickly. Sorry, just remember 0.24 and 0.52. 0.24 and 0.52.
Wait, could you go to quadrag?
Hold on. Yeah.
I think he gets a 1.
I think I goofed those around. Stat, calc. Actually, I think if I go home, no, it's not there anymore. So calc. Yeah, that does. Oh, negative 0.52. That's what happened. I need a negative here, or a minus. So if I force it to be linear, sure, but we can tell this isn't right because my ends are above the line and my middles are all below the line. This obviously doesn't match that correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off that line. Say, forget about you. I'm going to go back to my stat menu. I'm going to go back to calculate, and we can quadratic regression or cubic regression, or if we think it's exponential, give it exponential regression, which I'm going to try that one. Bless you.
So once you press calculate, how do you get that? Is there like an easier way to get that into the y equals?
It is 0.052 times 1.57 to the x.
Mr. Hudson, is there a way to like take this and make and graph it? Or
Yeah. So once we have these, sorry that this keeps zooming in and it's struggling because it's a camera pointed at a screen. Once we have that, I jot it down on a piece of paper just because like it doesn't plug it in for you. So then we're going to go over here.
Manually, like,
yes. So well, there might be a shortcut to copy it, but I'm not sure of it.
Where's the keyboard on this?
5237 times 1.57.
Good morning, Liam Church. Please come to the office. Liam Church, please come to the office. Thank you.
To the x power. If I graph that,
It's close-ish.
Banana. That looks really good. Well, looks better. Try to find the x-intercept.
what if we try? What if other people try like a quadratic or a cubic?
I tried.
Cubic probably wouldn't work because remember cubic makes like the s a cubic function. So remember, guys, if we have a cubic function, well, I'm gonna have to go back to a Zoom standard.
I tried graphing.
Yeah, so remember, cubic looks like this. I really don't think cubic's going to describe this behavior. So I would probably say don't try that. You think quadratic? You did it?
Yeah, I did quadratic.
Do you have the function for it?
Hold on.
Y equals 0.02 x squared.
02x squared plus
Negative 0.35 plus 0.064.
red is my
That looks better.
exponent. That's exponential still. Red's exponential. Left.
You
Black
have
just
multiple
changed.
already on.
No, this. Black.
What
You
happened?
said 0.2x squared.
Yeah,
right?
it's point. No, it's 0.27.
Yeah.
0.27 x squared.
That's important.
It is important.
I think that matters.
And then minus 0.035.
Ah.
How did you do that?
Second insert.
Oh, okay.
So guys, your delete button, if you second insert, just like a computer, you're inserting in somewhere. It bumps everything else.
Well, I have poor internet. Probably gonna take a long time. one looks better.
Okay, now let's go back to these equations. Try to analyze, what does this mean? Does anything here strike you as familiar?
Find the best fit.
This 0.05237, I'm trying to figure out where that came from. Because in an exponential, that's like our base value, and this is our growth factor.
Find another one you can try.
Just trying to figure out where 0.057 or 0.05237.
Force the cubic line out of it.
What about the 1.571 to a power?
Should I use the book anymore?
Hmm?
Would I need my laptop anymore?
I'm just trying to get you guys to think right now.
Yeah, that parabola looks way better.
What do you do?
Parabola.
Oh, that looks. Yeah, that.
Yeah, when you compare them like on the same one. Ooh.
Ah, that's hot.
Ooh. Stop.
Oh, 1.571 is half of pi.
I'm gonna do quart.
1.571 what?
Half of pi.
Kowalski analysis. Wait, where'd you get that? Hold on.
1.571. And I just
Yeah.
multiplied it by 2.
So you just thought of doing that?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Because I
cool.
figured it had something to do with pi.
So wait, this is half of pi?
What's it called? Radian?
So pi over 2.
So it's a radian?
So it's 90 degrees.
Holy crud. Holy crud.
Hey, don't say that here, bro.
Calm yourself.
I'm sorry, brother, not bro.
It's okay, my brother.
Amen, brother.
What do we think? Why is this half of pi?
Because
That's not an answer.
It's
my
Reasons.
Oh,
Because
reasons
I said so, and I'm your parent.
To mankind.
It's in the first quadrant or something?
I'm not giving it to you guys today. In the next 3 minutes, I want you to think about this, put your scissors away, see if you can come to some kind of conclusion. Anyone who didn't hear it yesterday or Sati wasn't here, we're pushing the chapter 8 test to Monday, Tuesday of next week. So it's just the last thing we do, and if we get done early on Tuesday, then we'll play Minecraft.
What?
Minecraft.
What's your equation?
I did
Wait,
the
what?
sign. I did sign.
No, what do you say?
Sine. What?
There's a sign one.
Oh, I think it's Minecraft.
He said sign that.
Yeah, but we can't use sine because sine's going to be a wave, and it will come
No, but
back.
it's the sign equation.
Oh, that's why they're called sine waves.
Yes.
Can you?
Sine function creates a wave. You might want to hang on to it just for a little bit till you get real comfortable. If you're really comfortable right now, that's up to you.
Sign.
Wait, is there anything like this
Mr.
called
Hudson, I
saw?
feel the heaviest disc you have.
Sure. But, so, hold on. We said at the beginning of class, because I got to wrap this up, and I don't know what the heaviest one I have is. I mean, you can look through these. I don't care. We said at the beginning of class that... Just take these somewhere over there.
Oh, should I put it on the rack?
No, Mr. Smith and I are going to do that. It's hard to carry the rack when it's full. So, we said area leads to the weight. How do we find the area of a circle?
Use square the radius. Multiply by pi.
So we use pi and we do radius squared. But here that function in y2 is half of pi to the, wait, what's our x here?
Is the power.
But what is x? What were our x values in the
radius.
The radius. Wasn't it? If we go check our list.
Yeah.
Second list. A 1.
Oh,
Sorry, I
my
don't
water
want to do
bottle's
that.
open.
That is the wrong choice right there.
That is the wrong choice to have your water bottle.
Yeah, those are radii, right?
Yeah.
So this function that we created is pi over 2 to the power of r. Interesting.
Can I have lunch?
What if I just said no, never?
And I
What if I
start.
said you have to explain this problem
Why
before you
is the
get
blue
food?
pen right here?
Okay.
Somebody left it there.
I'm sure
I.e.
that
Chris.
like read this couple chapters of the book that I
Alright, we're gonna pick this up tomorrow. Let this mull around in your brain.